Yo guys, today no wipe off board, but instead you can see these lovely medals. I used to do things with weights, not those kind of things that you're thinking about, but the good kind. Today we're talking about intermittent fasting. I haven't pissed enough people off already, so I figured I'd talk about intermittent fasting since that'll probably piss off, who have I pissed off? Vegans, keto, snake diet. Yep, intermittent fasting was next on my checklist. No, don't worry. I'm not going to trash intermittent fasting. In fact, for a lot of people, intermittent fasting has some really valuable uses. For some people, time-restricted eating enables them to create a calorie deficit without feeling really restricted. They would rather go longer periods without food and then be able to enjoy it more by having larger meals in a shorter time frame than trying to kind of titrate meals in all day. It also works really well for a lot of people who have really busy jobs. I know a couple of ER docs who love to eat with time-restricted eating because they just don't eat when they're on call and they have most of their calories in a short window. What am I trashing about intermittent fasting today? Well, not really trashing it. Like I said, it has a role, but some of the claims I'm seeing out there from intermittent fasting, get ready. You guys got your shots ready? Got your shots ready? Intermittent fasting zealots, take a shot. Are some really ridiculous claims. One of them is that intermittent fasting is anabolic, and fasting in of itself is anabolic because you increase growth hormone during fasting. Let's examine this, shall we? So first off, the increase in growth hormone you get in response to intermittent fasting is what we call a physiological increase. So it's not a massive increase in growth hormone, but you do get a significant increase. But that's not for anabolic purposes. Growth hormone is also part of the fuel mobilization system. Now it increases lipolysis. So since you're not eating food, you have to run on stored energy. And so growth hormone goes up to increase lipolysis, free up fatty acids. Let's assume you did get a big increase in growth hormone. Are you guys ready for the shocker? Growth hormone isn't anabolic. But it's called growth hormone, and look at all the IFBB pros who think I don't care, it's not anabolic. There is a myriad of studies. I wrote about this all the way back in 2012 in an article called Growth Hormone Great Expectations. There are not any studies that show increases in skeletal muscle mass, even when taking exogenous high-dose growth hormone. But Layne, there's studies showing it increases lean body mass. Yes, it increases lean body mass because they increase connective tissue mass and total body water. That's it. They don't increase muscle cross-sectional area. There's been several studies done showing this. So, sorry intermittent fasters, growth hormone, not anabolic. And let's just think about this logically. If fasting was anabolic, how would that make any sense? People who were in concentration camps should be the most jacked people in history because growth hormone, bruh. No, fasting didn't work out great for getting Gandhi jacked, all right? It's not anabolic. Now, what I'll hear from the other intermittent fasting, get ready to take a shot, zealots, is that, well, I got more muscle on intermittent fasting. I was doing intermittent fasting and put an inch on my arms. I'm not saying you can't grow muscle. What I'm saying is the fasting part of intermittent fasting is not anabolic. One of my final research studies that I published from my, get ready to take a shot, PhD thesis was a study examining protein distribution. We did 2 very low protein meals or with 1 really high protein meal. They equated to about 15% of protein at breakfast, 15% of protein at lunch, and 70% at dinner, versus 3 meals that were about the same. What we found was, at the end of the study, that there was about an 8 to 10% difference in muscle mass. All the groups grew, but the groups that kind of equally divided their protein intake grew a little bit more. I'm not saying you can't grow on intermittent fasting. What I'm saying is having multiple protein meals spaced evenly throughout the day is probably better for anabolism. That's because protein has no storage mechanism in the body. It's not like carbohydrate where you have some glycogen that you can store, or fatty acids, which basically have unlimited storage in adipose. Protein has no mechanism of storage. You're either using it for synthesis, protein synthesis, or you're degrading it and putting it through gluconeogenesis and oxidizing it. If you can't store it, then if, for example, the max amount of protein where you max out the anabolic benefits is 40 or 50 grams, if you have 100, you're not getting extra benefit from those extra 50 grams of protein. They're just, I don't want to say wasted because that's an improper term, but you're not going to get an extra anabolic benefit. So you're better off evenly distributing protein meals that hit that threshold but don't go way over it. What other people will say is, well, intermittent fasting is better for fat loss. There's been several studies looking at this where they compare intermittent fasting versus non-intermittent fasting with calories equated, and they don't see differences in fat loss. What one study saw was a slight improvement in insulin sensitivity compared to the non-intermittent fasting group. Both groups improved insulin sensitivity because they both lost fat. The group doing IF improved a little bit more, okay? So I don't really worry about that much because if you're losing weight and getting healthier, you're going to improve your insulin sensitivity anyway. It's more about adherence. Now, if intermittent fasting helps you adhere to the protocol, helps you create that calorie deficit in a sustainable way that fits a lifestyle for you, then maybe it is the best diet for you. But in terms of physiology, it doesn't necessarily seem to be better than regular caloric restriction. One other word I hear is autophagy. Autophagy is basically a mechanism of breakdown of cellular components, okay? And this is associated with a few different health benefits. A lot of it's protein degradation, actually, which, by the way, not anabolic. That's actually catabolic. Autophagy may have some health benefits. Great. It's a buzzword right now. Thomas DeLauer loves it. But did you know that just caloric restriction by itself increases autophagy? So, again, intermittent fasting, not magic. However, again, if it's something you can adhere to, sustain, and use it to create a caloric deficit, maybe it is the best diet for you. As for me, I'll be enjoying multiple meals per day, but maybe it's right for you. Guys, if you liked the video, smash that like button, subscribe, check out my site, biolayne.com. Go buy some of my shit. I'll catch you next time. Peace.